Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Man, this is such a great Reddit post. I will leave a link to it in the description. I highly encourage you guys to check it out because this is very interesting. So, this person in this Reddit post was accepted into the Starlink beta. They went to a well-known dead zone to find new T-Mobile native coverage. So this is an interesting point. Several of you made it in the video. You guys said in the video that I'm assuming that T-Mobile won't add native coverage to some of the areas that are covered by Starlink in the future. But at the same token, you guys are also assuming that T-Mobile will add native service to all those areas, right? It's all assuming. But in this case, it actually happened. T-Mobile added a tower that was a well-known dead spot in a rural area in Michigan where the person that was going to test was suspecting to be able to connect to Starlink. So this is going to be, for now, the exception, not the rule, because it's happening so quickly. And that was my whole point, right? If Verizon and AT&T have service in these areas, T-Mobile is going to turn around in July, cover these areas very quickly with Starlink, which we really don't know how that's going to perform once it's commercially launched. And then the only way, again, I have to point it out, the only way that you can even get access to Starlink, you have to pay $15 a month per line or move to T-Mobile's highest plan. So that's the only way you even gain access to the Starlink service to begin with, right? So you're going to be stuck with options. You're going to say either I don't pay if you frequent an area that's a dead zone. Either you don't pay, you remain on the dead zone and hope and pray that T-Mobile builds native service. You either pay the $15 a month per line, right? Or you have several options, or you move to T-Mobile's highest plan, or you look at Verizon and AT&T in those areas that are natively covered by the competitor, right? Because for 15, 20 bucks, you can get a nice visible plan. Right? So all of that has to be taken into perspective. You have to look at everything, right? So the best case scenario is T-Mobile builds native coverage. Then all the problems are solved. But we all know T-Mobile still has the smallest coverage. So the Starlink areas are going to be widely covered, right? They're going to try to cover all dead zones for now with Starlink because that's the quickest solution. And like I said, the only way you guys that are currently on T-Mobile are going to be able to get this is you either pay the $15 per month per line or you move to the Go 5G Next. And then I had a conversation with someone else. They made a very interesting point, right? So no matter what plan you're on, if you pay the $15 per month per line, depending on the total amount, you might be shorting yourself by not going to the highest plan because you won't get the perks. Depending on how many lines you got and how high your bill goes, it might be better to just move to the Go 5G Next because there at least you get the perks. You get the streaming, the in-flight Wi-Fi, and there, the Starlink is included. Instead of paying, let's say you have like 5 lines and you want to put all the lines on the $15 add-on, right? When it launches commercially. Maybe you want to do the 10, whatever. Let's assume it's the 10. That's an additional $50 if you have 5 lines. Whatever that brings your total to, you got to look at, okay, if I get 10 extra dollars, I just move to the Go 5G Next and get all the perks, right? That has to be looked at too, right? You got to look at everything on this. This is, right? A lot of people are saying this is a money grab. T-Mobile's looking to grab money. They're putting you in a tough spot here, right? Because I think the conversation will go once customer care is contacted. Hey, I'm frequenting an area that has no service. Then they're going to try to sell you to Starlink. I guarantee you that's how the conversation will go in the future. They will say, hey, look, we do have service there, but it's through Starlink and it's a $15 add-on if you don't sign up for the $10 price point. So that's how the conversation will go in the future, right? T-Mobile will continue planning its network build out. They will have specific areas that, yes, they will build out, but it's going to take time. In the meantime, the competitors in some of the areas have the advantage because they're going to be natively built out. Now, is that going to be the case everywhere? No, I understand that. There are going to be some areas where T-Mobile will have Starlink where nobody else has service. Again, I've acknowledged that. But I looked at the map again last night, and I'm looking at all T-Mobile dead zones. There is no way, no how that all of those dead zones are not covered by Verizon and AT&T natively. There's no way. So a lot of those dead zones that are now filled in with Starlink, Verizon and AT&T will have native coverage. Now, the choice is on you, the consumer. What are you willing to do? Right? Are you willing to stay with T-Mobile, pay the extra money to get Starlink, depending on how that performs? And no, it will not be a like-for-like comparison. No matter how good it gets, there's always going to be some deficiencies because of the service coming from satellite. So like I said, the choice is on you, the consumer. Are you going to pay the $15? Are you going to move to the Go 5G Next? Or are you going to look at a visible plan for $20? Are you going to maybe go to US Mobile with their new plan on the Death Star? What are your choices going to be, right? That's something to look at. I'm just pointing it out. This is why this is a great post on Reddit, right? You guys can see it's standalone. They're building out. There's even a generator there. You guys can see all that. Look at that, almost 1,400 megabits per second. So there's fiber at the site. They expected to get Starlink. They got native service, but that's not going to be the case everywhere. That's why I'm glad this post came out. Because in my videos, I was not assuming that T-Mobile wasn't going to build everywhere. They're going to still fill in some of those spots. The problem is it's still going to take time. And in the meantime, they're going to fill that in with a Starlink connection that's going to be wonky. It's not going to be great. It's a $15 a month plan for texting, right? Until they launch officially calling and data services, it's just texting. So you're paying $15 extra a month for texting, right? I want to point that out too, in areas where Verizon and AT&T will have native coverage. So the choice is on you, right? You guys can argue and debate all day long in the comments about assuming this and that and that. The choice is on you, whatever you want to pay. You want to pay $15 a month for texting? I mean, be my guest. It's up to you, right? It's up to you to decide. But the options, the choices are out there. So yes, T-Mobile is clearly still filling in some of the dead spots. We can see it here. But some of them, right, they're not going to fill at all. I can guarantee it. The ones that are in white, where you can see like clearly no coverage within 50 miles or so of that area, they're very likely not filling that in with native coverage, where Verizon and AT&T do have coverage. They're just going to leave Starlink. Is Starlink going to improve? Yes, they're going to improve. But it's never going to be a like-for-like scenario. We have to see how Starlink performs going 60 miles per hour, right? You have to look at the hexagons. All of that has to be looked at. You can't just be stationary and do the texting, right? You're going to be on the move. You're going to be walking. You're going to be turning. So we have to see how all that plays out. So let me know your thoughts on this. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all in the next one. Peace.